My name is Jeff Berkey. This is Tim Osterman. I'm the evaluator. Tim is the career teacher, and today we'll be discussing Tim's SMART goals for his IPDP plan. So, Tim, reflecting back on your post-observation conference, one of the areas that you identified as an area where you'd like to improve is with the organization, with the lesson planning. So we're going to kind of center our conversation around that today, as far as what we can do as far as addressing that goal. So it's kind of important as far as you're obviously an experienced educator.
Right.
You're looking for areas where you can improve. So tell me a little bit about kind of where you'd like to see some organization in your lesson.
So at this point, I think I would like to get better at having something written down that is very detailed. Very detailed. At this point, what I have written down are objectives, and how I cover them is kind of just jotted notes other places kind of within my papers that I have. So I would like to do better at least putting everything in decent order of all my lessons. So I do have some lessons that obviously are very well put together, those that I've worked on very hard, but sometimes, school year gets going and I don't do as much. So the biggest thing that I'm concerned about is making sure that I'm meeting my objectives, putting the objectives together, and formulating a great lesson. That's kind of what I'm hoping.
Sure, and things that are obviously kind of happening in your classroom anyway, it's giving that structure so you can go through and really look from year to year on kind of what's worked and what hasn't. Also helping with our building goals of using some data to make some instructional decisions. So I think one thing we can look at, one model we can look at is that UBD model and maybe get you some training on that. As we look at your goal of kind of adding some more structure to your lesson plans, what are you most looking forward to as far as kind of incorporating some of that?
So obviously the concept is organization and being able to be very particular on what I'm looking for the student rather than am I covering the information, be much better at this is what we're doing and now I'm looking at specific skills that I can teach, which is from an athletic coach, it's one of those things where I feel much better about how I'm teaching because I already know what we're covering. Now I'm looking for specific things. So, I'm trying to tie that into my education world from a science standpoint is making sure, okay, here's what we're doing. Now look at the skills that are involved in that. And so that's what I'm hoping to get is from that lesson plan, the ability to do those things.
Sure, and with UBD, it's very good. It has sections that says these are the skills, these are the knowledge that students should be able to, skills they should be able to do, knowledge they have at the end of a unit or a lesson, and also provides just an overall framework for starting with your end and then working kind of back from there. Do you have any concerns or anything with that incorporating, that into your lessons?
No. I mean, obviously, time to learn and time to put it together would be important. But I've done some other lesson plan types. So the 5E learning model, I've done that. I think it's good. But having some more structure and seeing how they all fit together and see which one fits me best, I think is probably what I'm most concerned about.
Yeah, and I think the big thing will just be identifying some professional development opportunities for you to attend with those, and maybe starting small. We could start with one class, say we're going to do chemistry, we're going to plan that way, or whatever can sometimes be valuable as well. How does your goal kind of relate to our building goals?
Well, obviously, the biggest thing will be if we're most concerned about data and assessment and really pushing students forward on ACTs, what I'm hoping is that my organization work will actually help the students achieve more on the things that they're concerned about. So taking the data as far as a formative assessment and seeing what they're lacking and continue to try to build those things to help them with those ACTs, with those Iowa assessments. So those are the skills that, I'm kind of hoping to really build into a lesson, day to day, and try to get better at. So.
And it seems like you have a really good handle on that.
Sure.
And there's a connection with that. And one of our kind of big things and big pushes here is implementing that MTSS. And well, that's more math and reading related. Obviously, it plays into your science area, and having that structure will be good for that. So if we were to kind of develop a timeline on when we might start implementing some of these things, what would that look like?
I would say probably, not knowing exactly when I would get my hands on the material, but, I can certainly start planning lessons within at least a bare minimum month.
Yeah.
Or a bare maximum, sorry, that'd be the maximum
Yeah.
within a month. So I would say, for the most part, I'd say by Christmas we would start seeing, let's just say, biology classes. Day to day, we'd see a much better lesson plan.
Sure.
Deal. So probably within 2 months, we'd see day to day lessons being much better.
Yeah, and with that structure, and then as far as if we could get you some training, this is probably more of a long term kind of goal. I guess is how I would see that.
Okay.
And being able to implement it in kind of small steps, so you don't kind of feel overwhelmed with it.
Right.
At one time. Again, going back to our observation, you're obviously a very strong teacher. It just comes down to maybe again improving some of that organization in the lesson. What do you need from me to really implement?
Oh, I think just time and I don't want to say patience because that's not really your job either, but guidance. I would imagine just this is how you can put it together. This is my suggestion. Those types of things. Just coaching.
And I'm very familiar with the UBD model. I've written a lot of lessons that way in previous schools, so I can certainly be a resource.
Okay.
I know we have at least one other teacher on staff that plans that way, so that would be a resource as well. I'd really like to get you some professional development in that area, since we've kind of identified that as your goal. Again, I kind of see it as a long-term goal. So Tim, I appreciate you coming in. If you have any questions or anything about the goal we've set.
No.
Thank you. All right. Well, thanks, Tim.
You bet.